want to do this little song for you, and the name of it is Haya. And I know that you're wondering, where in the world did she get that name from? I remember in some of the testimonial services that I played in, this certain phrase was being shouted out among the mouths of the saints. And every once in a while I'd hear, Haya! How many of y'all ever heard one of them mothers shout out, Haya? That is a Hebrew tongue. And the name of this Hebrew tongue means life.
All right, shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom, shalom, shalom to all the brothers and sisters out there. All right, before we even get started today, we're going to give a big ups, a big all praises to the Almighty Elohim above. We're going to thank him to gathering us here today to restore this identity that he passed down to our ancestors, to restore this identity that has been hidden from us. All right, and what comes restoring identity is learning the history, and after that you have to turn back to the Most High. You have to turn back to his righteous ways. You have to turn back to his just laws, and you have to turn back to his God-given commandments. All right, that's what we have to do. We have to restore our identity the full way. We can't just, you feel me, wake up and know the history of us being Israelites. We have to live as Israelites as well. All right. So, like I said, we're going to be getting into part 2 today. If you haven't checked out part 1, I recommend you go and check that out. Like I said, we've proven that our ancestors were Israelites during slavery, after slavery, before slavery. All right. The proof is in the pudding. Just go check out part 1. All right. So, what we're going to review today is just some information, furthermore proving who we are as so-called African Americans, as so-called Negroes. All right, we're just bringing out some history that was never taught to our people within school. You feel me? Not even taught within churches over the last few years, 100 years probably, because we know at one point in time, our ancestors in the churches was preaching that we were indeed the lost tribes of Israel. All right, and that's proven too in part 1. So let's go ahead and get into it today. To start off, we're going to be jumping to Black Jews in America. All right, a documentary with commentary. All right, and I just wanted to point out that this was written by an Ashkenazi Jew. All right, I repeat, this was written by an Ashkenazi Jew. We're going to start up top. It says, in the course of time, an occasional Jew did settle in Boston. It was apparently unmolested. One such resident named Solomon had the bad judgment to travel towards New Hampshire on a Sunday in 1668. All right, 1668. This was no mean offense in a day when men were sentenced to a month in jail if they missed church on Sunday. All right, so during this time, 1668, you would get up a up sentenced to a month in jail just for missing church on Sunday, if you recall. Solomon's journey did not pass unnoticed, and he was brought before the court in Ipswich, all right? The outcome of the case may never be known, but one phrase in the brief court record challenges the attention of the passing reader. Solomon is described as a mulatto Jew, the first Jew living in New England, all right, also known as New York, as far as we know, was of Negro descent. All right. So get that through your head. The first Jew living in New England as of 1668 was what? A Negro Jew, a Jew of Negro descent, as we are. Let's continue. Dr. Boach reported another strange incident. In Newark, New York, a Jewish organization assisted criminals of the Jewish faith and provided prisoners with ritual food during Passover. All right, so go ahead and get the picture painted in your head. We going into a prison for say, all right, and it's during Passover time. All right, when the guard called them together, one prisoner, a black man named Samson Johnson, who was condemned to jail because he was unable to pay a $10 fine, told the guard that he was a Jew and could not eat bread on Passover. A black man named Samson Johnson told the guard that he was a Jew, all right, and he could not eat bread on Passover. Furthermore, the guard, who never heard of a Jew with a black face, thought that Johnson was trying to take advantage of the Jewish organization's generosity. Johnson replied that he would rather go hungry than eat bread for the first time on Passover. I know that's right, my brother. I know that's right. The guard summoned the Jewish organization supervisor, who was also skeptical of the prisoner's story because he had also never heard of a black Jew. All right. So keeping to mind that these Europeans have been passing down these lies generations after generations, thinking that the Europeans are the true Jews. So when we see stuff say that people have never heard of or saw a black Jew, it's because what? They have been inherited lies. Thus saith the scripture. We know that it's a long Christian tradition that the word Jews were black. But furthermore, when Johnson in a southern drawl saw the distrust of the supervisor's face, he began to protest in Hebrew. All right, Johnson began to protest in Hebrew, emphasizing that the Jews were denying him his right to celebrate the Passover. And that what hurt him most is that this denial is being endorsed by a co-religionist. All right. Johnson furthermore surprised him by being able to write in Hebrew. All right, not only did he protest in Hebrew, say he was Hebrew, he was able to write in Hebrew. Continuing, in relating his history, he said that he was born in Jerusalem. Furthermore, let me read that again. In relating his history, a black man, Samuel Johnson, said that he was born in Jerusalem. He came to Virginia with his parents, where he acquired a dialect and began to behave like other Negroes, aka other scattered Israelites. So we have a brother in jail, a black man, a so-called Negro, a Jew from Jerusalem, all the way over here in the United States. Let's continue. His original name was Klowski, and it was changed to Johnson in Virginia. The Jewish supervisor was still not convinced and asked Johnson to recite the Passover story. All right. To his amazement, he recited the Haggadah by heart. All right. And if you know about the Haggadah, you know that is a long recital. All right. You know that is long to even study and remember. But this brother recited it by heart, whereupon the supervisors provided him not only with Passover food, but paid his fine so that Johnson could be released from jail. All right. So it took this brother to do all this to prove his Jewishness. All right. To prove that he is who he say he is. And even after that, they did what they ended up giving him the Passover food. And like, man, I ain't never seen nothing like this, huh? You can get released from jail. We gonna pay your fine, my brother. But hey, let's continue. Between 1895 and 1911, there were a number of abbreviated references to Black Jews in English, German, Yiddish, and even Hebrew publications. One reported that a Negro of Jewish origin who was a member of the Sephardic congregation in New York died and left 1/3 of his estate to the synagogue. All right, so here we have another reference of a Negro Jew. But what? He's a member of the Sephardic congregation in New York. If you watch my previous videos on the Sephardic Jews, you would know what they are undoubtedly Black people. But we're going to touch on that later. We're going to continue to read another reference to Black Jews in America. And this is coming from the same book. All these pages I've been reading from thus far has been from the same book. The Valentine story has a sequel. At the Institutional Synagogue Orthodox of Harlem in 1932, Vertilla S. Valentine, an older sister of Hiel Jehoshua, whose bris has been referred to, was introduced as the valedictorian of her class in the presence of Rabbi Herbert Goldstein and Rabbi Philip Goodman, principal of the school, before a sprinkling of Negro and white Jews. All right. Goodman stated that she was the first on record in America to be so honored. Mary Teresa, another Negro Jewish girl, was also a graduate. Where did Vertilla come from? Her father, Samuel Valentine, was a plasterer residing in Harlem who claimed to be a direct descendant of an old family of Negro Jews of West Africa. All right, haven't I been telling y'all we descend from Negro Jews, as they call them, from West Africa? All right, this ain't nothing new. This has been well known throughout the generations. He said that members of the Jewish race were so despised and persecuted in the West Indies, where he spent his early manhood, that he did not dare to admit his religion. Only within the confines of his home did he adhere to the practices of the followers of Israel, such as keeping his hat on his head while in the house, fasting at periodic intervals, etc. Coming to America in 1919, all right, so this brother was coming out of the West Indies. He associated himself with Marcus Garvey, all right, the Marcus Garvey movement. All right, if you don't know, Marcus Garvey also knew or told people that he knew that he was a Israelite, all right. He also expressed that he was an Israelite to the so-called Negroes. He became president of the Liberty Hall Choir, and a close relationship spurred up between him and Arthur Joshua Ford, the choir master. All right. So, like I said, we're just bringing out references of these Black Jews in America. Continuing on to the next one. The slave origin of some Black Jews is attested to in a volume which omits the documentation to support the data. A colony of half-breeds, allegedly offsprings of Jewish Negro intermarriages, was found near Suriname, Dutch Guiana, about 1750. All right, so they saying it was Jewish Negro intermarriages about 1750 in Suriname. All right, they spoke Dojo Tongo, or Jew language, an admixture of Portuguese, Hebrew, and native words. Later, a Negro English dialect replaced the patios, leaving only traces of the earlier compound. In the West Indies, notably in Jamaica, Spanish and Portuguese Jews are said to have practiced miscongregation with Negroes, and their descendants often bore Jewish names. All right. So, this was my main point in bringing out the information in part one, proving that our ancestors coming over here doing slavery. All right. The so-called Negroes themselves, they were descendants of the ancient Israelites. All right. So on top of that, you have these Spanish and Portuguese Jews who are also Negroes coming over here to the Americas and mixing with the Israelites coming out of Africa. So that's why we got to learn how to chew the meat, spit out the bone, chew the meat, spit out the bone. All right, because what? Up here they just tried to say that they was a what did they say? That they was half-breed offsprings, making it seem like the Jews were white, mixing with Negroes. But no, the Jews were black, mixing with lost Negro Jews from Africa. We're going to continue to dig into that though. So let me bring out a quick reference to that language right quick though. And to do that, we're going to go to Introduction of the Science of Language, Volume 1. And it says, the Negro Portuguese, originally introduced into Suriname by Portuguese Jews, all right, is now spoken only by one tribe of free bush Negroes, all right. So this language we were just talking about in the last passage was introduced by the Portuguese Jews, all right. The Jotongo is a Negro Portuguese language introduced by the Negro Portuguese Jews. Furthermore, we're going to go back and continue to read. In 1942, there still existed a community professing the Jewish faith in St. Thomas of the Virgin Islands. In 1791, census figures for the Jewish community of Paramaribo, Suriname, disclosed 834 Sephardim from Southern Europe and North Africa, 477 Ashkenazim from Northern and Eastern Europe, and 100 mulattoes. The writer went on to say, even though most of these slaves were probably converted involuntarily, numbers of their descendants have continued to be faithful adherents to Judaism to the present day. The growing Negro congregations in Harlem are made up in part of colored Jews who have migrated from the West Indies in South America to New York. The growing number of congregations in Harlem are made up in part of colored Jews from the West Indies and South America, right? So we see that what the Sephardic Jews started immigrating, but we're going to continue to dig on that with this next reference from This Far by Faith, Stories from the African American Religious Experience. All right, very top. The story of African American Jews is about neither their legitimacy nor the accuracy of their claims to a Jewish lineage. It is a story of a people creating a community held together by traditions and beliefs that reinforce their humanity in a society where they are often ignored and maligned. Early scholarship suggests that the Black interest in Judaism stems in part from 3 points. During slavery, Africans saw themselves as literally the Hebrews of the Old Testament. Let me read that again. During slavery, Africans saw themselves as literally the Hebrews of the Old Testament. All right, that's basically what we went over in part one, basically proving that claim to be true. Furthermore, African American leaders such as Booker T. Washington regularly encouraged African Americans to emulate Jews. Finally, several African Americans saw Jewish practices and beliefs as directly rooted in African history, which is true, specifically that of Ethiopia. Recent scholarship indicates that blacks arriving in the United States from the West Indies and South America may have possessed Jewish ancestry, all right? Indeed, since the 17th century, Jews from countries such as Portugal and Spain have been establishing communities in several parts of Latin America and the Caribbean. All these factors and more contributed to the development of African American Jews, all right? Furthermore, here is a congregation founded by those Sephardic Jews or Jews from the West Indies coming into Harlem. Rabbi Arnold Joshua Ford led a congregation of black Jews in Harlem during the Great Depression. And as we see, they're clearly Negroes. Furthermore, we're about to jump to the Black Jews of Africa, history, religion, identity. It says right here, it is possible that the arrival of black immigrants from South America and the West Indies carrying Jewish beliefs and practices also contributed to the proliferation of black Jewish groups in the city. So we keep seeing this immigration of what? Black immigrants or black Jews from the West Indies and South America. We know that in the 17th century, for example, Jews from Spain, Portugal, and the Netherlands had settled in the northern regions of Latin America, Central America, all right, Savannah, Georgia, South Carolina, all right, and the Caribbean. Intermarriages between these Sephardic Jews and blacks, either slaves or free persons, was not unusual in these areas. All right. So what they saying is, listen, these black Jews were mixing with the black Negro slaves, as they like to call us. All right. And this was not unusual wherever they were. All right. We've proven, I'm going to keep saying this, we've proven our ancestors brought over in slave ships were Israelites. So we have history to continue to digest, release, and unload, because we have a whole mashup of black Jews up here in the United States that we are mixed of. We mixed of Sephardic Jews and we are mixed of African Jews. Disunions gave birth to some of the first African American affiliations to Judaism in the New World. Furthermore, we're going to jump to Nature Knows No Color Line. And we're just going to shut this whole thing down. We're not dealing with no European Sephardic Jews. We're dealing with Negroes. Let me show you. We're going to start up here. White says, an interesting gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. All right. The Dutch de Abrantes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. All right. The Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. That means they looked alike. That means they were Negroes. That means they were black. Furthermore, so dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. Furthermore, we're going to jump down here. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies. All right. So these Jews being expelled out of Spain and Portugal, they were settling in the West Indies. Haven't we been dealing with black Jews in the West Indies? All right. Well, haven't we been dealing with Sephardic Jews mixing with so-called Negroes in the West Indies? All right. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews. All right. And guess what he said? He says they were Negroes or Negroid. All right. So, yes, it's true, man. It's true. You had these Sephardic Jews mixing with the African Jews, making just extending the race, basically, preserving the Israelite race. And we didn't even know it right under our eyes. Jews and Muslims in British colonial America, we just going to continue to kill this whole white, Portuguese, Spanish, Jew thing real quick. It says right here, what do we see? Non-Christians have been acknowledged even in traditional histories to have been present in Massachusetts for a very early date. Historian T.H.H. Breen, for example, quotes a colonialist named Roger Clapp, who hoped that Massachusetts would knit together the hearts of all who feared God, whether rich or poor, English or Indian, Portugal, Sephardic, Jewish, or Negro. All right? Portugal, Sephardic, Jewish, or Negro. Once again, these people are being described as Negroes. Furthermore, I'm going to go over to the next page. And it says, the movies had come to stay. The automobile and the telephone, 9 catboats out of 10 could run 8 miles an hour in a dead calm and make a smell like burnt gasoline and a noise like an evil conscience. And for every man of Anglo-Saxon descent you saw upon the streets, you saw 2 nigger, black, Portuguese. What else do you need? All right? We have to relearn this history, man. We saw 2 nigger, black, Portuguese. This how black these people were. This how much these people resembled Negroes. All right? But let's continue on. We're going to jump to the other. All right? The other. I will leave a link. I'll probably leave a link to this in the bio because this is not even a good snapshot of the information for y'all to go view it. All right? So I'm going to leave a link to this in the bio. But we see up here, it says some black Jews can just about read, all right, from obligatory Bible lessons, but not write. Above all, the authorities discriminate consciously against Oriental Jews. The black Jew will always have less chance to succeed. Even mixed marriages are frowned upon by the white Ashkenazi majority. All right, the black Jews or Sephardis, all right, the black Jews or the Sephardic Jews are termed Franks, a term comparable in Israel to nigger. All right, so you had black Sephardic Jews moving back to Israel, and even there they was called a derogatory term that is the same thing as nigger, what we are called in America. So we keep seeing that these Sephardic Jews are called Negroes, niggers, the same thing we are called. And we see sources telling us that the Sephardic Jews were mixing with what? The so-called Negroes in America. They wasn't birthing mulattoes. They were just birthing more Israelites, more Jews. Even if we take it to the United States Census, all right, we see Joseph Costa, a black man coming out of Portugal. Why is this important? Because Costa is the surname of Jews. All right. Jews who changed their surname due to the Roman Catholic and other Christian conversions, due to the Inquisition, basically. All right. Not only that, we see Joseph Costa, the Sephardic Jew, being labeled as black, with his wife and descendants also being labeled as black. Furthermore, we can take it over to the brother Dominguez Pinto, all right, 1920, coming out of Lisbon, Portugal. Pinto is also a Sephardic Jew surname. And we can see that Dominguez Pinto out of Lisbon, Portugal, was also classified as dark, with black hair, brown eyes, and about 5 foot tall. So we see these black Sephardic Jews immigrating to the United States around the same time. Joaquim Sousa, all right, 1920 as well, coming out of Spain and Portugal, or coming out of Portugal. All right, De Sousa or Sousa is also a Sephardic Jewish name. We see this brother being classified as dark as well as other brothers coming over here from Portugal being classified as dark with these Sephardic Jewish surnames. All right. So we see that these Sephardic Jews were 100% immigrating to the United States, where they was from Spain, where they was from Portugal, where they was from the Netherlands, Amsterdam, the West Indies, South America. They was immigrating to the United States, and they were indeed blacks. To furthermore prove this, we're going to go to Acts and Resolve Central of the General Court of Massachusetts, 1854. And there we will see that the Portuguese are classified as a minority. Furthermore, Rabbi Abell spends lifetime urging Jews of color to discover their roots. This is coming from the Jewish Exponent, and you see the link to it in the bottom right corner. And to the far right, you will see Rabbi Abell speaks. So, very top, the late Rabbi Abell speaks, the subject of a Black History Month webinar this week, always knew his family was different. Born in 1919 to a poor black family in North Philadelphia, he grew up with a vague understanding of his religious background. His mother told him that their Bible was written in a different language. All right, his mother told him that his Bible was written in a different language. His grandmother observed Jewish customs and told him that their people worshiped in secret in the past. All right, what other people worshiping or observing Jewish customs had to worship in secret in the past, besides the crypto, Sephardic, Moreno, all right, the Jews coming out of Spain and Portugal? Furthermore, I remembered my father, who reads the Bible but never went to church, telling me when I was 13, "We're different from other Negroes. We are Jews." He told the New York Times in 1978. All right, so his father told him that we aren't just Negroes, we're Jews. All right, this was in 1978 when he told this to the New York Times. Furthermore, researching his Spanish last name led him to the stories of the Morenos, or Jews who practiced in secret during the Spanish Inquisition. All right, his studies indicated he was descended from the Morenos, also known as crypto Jews, who fled persecution and may have resettled in North and West Africa. All right. Respice dedicated himself to intensive study, became a rabbi, and founded Abath Bet Moshe, a largely African American congregation that began in North Philadelphia and later moved to Elwood, New Jersey. He felt that if this was a possibility for his family as a person of color in the United States, then maybe there were other families who sort of lost their way and were crypto Jews because of circumstances such as the slave trade. All right. So you have a descendant of slaves, Rabbi Abell Respice, all right, a Negro who found out that his family was Sephardic Jews that was sent over here to America by way of the transatlantic slave trade. Not only that, he said that it's a possibility for other Jews or other Negroes or other people of color in the United States to have the same long lost heritage that was taken away from them due to the slave trade, all right? So yes, you had the Sephardic Jews as well as the African Jews going into slavery via the transatlantic slave wars, all right? Furthermore, the Portuguese in West Africa, 1415 through 1670, a documentary history. We're just going to build off what we just read. All right. The Portuguese in West Africa, 1415 through 1617, brings together a collection of the documents, the majority in New English translation, that illustrate aspects of the encounters between the Portuguese and the peoples of North and West Africa. This period witnessed the diaspora of the Sephardic Jews, the immigration of Portuguese to West Africa and the islands, and the beginnings of the black diaspora associated with the slave trade, all right? This period witnessed the diaspora of the Sephardic Jews, the immigration of Portuguese to West Africa and the islands, and the beginnings of the black diaspora to the slave trade. The documents show how the Portuguese tried to understand the societies with which they came into contact and to reconcile their experience with the myths and legends inherited from classical and medieval learning. They also show how Africans reacted to the coming of Europeans, adapting Christian ideas to local beliefs and making use of exotic imports and European technologies. All right, so this is where this Christianity came in part by when these European Portuguese, were coming in with these missionaries and basically converting the African Jews. The documents also describe the evolution of black Portuguese communities in Guinea and the islands, as well as the slave trade and the way that it was organized, understood, and justified. All right, so we see that the Sephardic Jews made their way into Western Africa as well as the outside islands surrounding Western Africa. This will lead to them being sold as slaves in the slave trade. The Nautical Magazine and Novel Chronicle for 1870, a journal of papers. All right, this is the source for you. Furthermore, Barbet states that in the reign of John II and about the close of the 15th century, large numbers of Jews were expelled from Portugal and taken to the coast of southern Guinea. That the island of St. Thomas, which is not more than 100 miles from the mainland, was populated by mulattoes descended from Jewish exiles and Anglo women. All right, we know these Anglo women was black, and we know these Sephardic Jews coming from Portugal were black, so they wasn't mulattoes as per se as white and black offspring. Furthermore, it is possible that the Jewish type of character noticed at Gabon and Luango may have originated from this source, meaning they originated from the Sephardic Jews. But if so, it is unknown to the present inhabitants of the country, and it would have been somewhat singular if the Roman Catholic missionaries, all right, the inquisitors, the people running the Inquisition, all right, at Luango had not detected this circumstance instead of regarding them as a pure African family of Jews. So we see that these Sephardic Jews were exiled into Africa, all right, into southern Guinea, St. Thomas, Angola, Gabon, and Luango, all right? Not to mention it was already Jews in these locations. And if you don't know where southern Guinea is, this would be your southern Guinea, the Ivory Coast, your Nigeria area, your Ghana, your Benin, your Cameroon, your Togo. All right, so one of the main places so-called slaves were taken from. Next, we're going to jump to black Jews in Africa and the Americas. And we're going to read right here. Such identifications were made out of a genuine desire to comprehend the seemingly impenetrable customs, religions, and languages encountered on the colonial frontier. Ethnographers, missionaries, and colonial such enough such such identifications were made out of genuine desire to comprehend the seemingly impenetrable customs, religions, and languages encountered on the colonial frontier. Ethnographers, missionaries, and colonial civil servants and travelers time to time again maintained that African tribes, including Iksa, Maasai, Yoruba, Shona, Igbo, Zulus, Hottentots, Tutsis, Ashanti, and many more practiced Jewish customs, spoke partially Jewish languages, and were of Jewish biological origin of the seed of Abraham. This was one of the developments that has fed into the creation of worldwide phenomenon of Black Judaism. Today there are millions. Today there are millions of Black Jews, Israelites, or Hebrews, most of them at least partially Christian in Africa, Europe, and the Americas, who practice some aspects of Judaism or have some kind of Israelite, Jewish, Hebrew identity, and who in most cases believe they are descendant of the ancient Hebrews, whereas there were many reasons for this. The deeply held conviction that Jews were black or dark and that Jews and blacks had the same blood no doubt played a predominant role. All right. Furthermore, we're going to go to the Hebrew heritage of West African ancestors. All right. The Hebrew heritage of West African ancestors. And I just would like to point out as well, this is written by an Ashkenazi Jew as well named Stephen Jacobs. All right. Written by an Ashkenazi Jew named Stephen Jacobs. There are many thousands of black people in the United States who have awakened to the fact that they are descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Like I said, we are a cluster of Israelites here in America, predominantly Judah, but you have other Northern Kingdom Israelites that were scattered via slave trade as well. All right. There are many thousands of black people in the United States who have awakened to the fact that they are descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. There are over 250 congregations and other organizations throughout the country as a testament to this fact. Among early pioneers of the Israelite movement, Rabbi William Crowley was among the first. He founded the Bethel Temple associated with prophetic Judaism after emancipation during the last half of the 19th century. All right, so after slavery. Today, there are more than 50 temples which belong to this particular group. Its present senior rabbi is Howard Zebulon Plummer. There exist many other Black Israelite congregations and centers. In 1915, there already were at least 8 congregations in New York City alone. At that time, they had the benefit of learning about their heritage from Black Hebrews who had come from such far-flung places as Ethiopia, the West Indies, India, and North and West Africa. All right, North and West Africa. Furthermore, some of the early leaders included Rabbi Joshua Ford, who presided over B'nai Beth Abraham, Rabbi Israel Ben Newman, Congregation Beth Zion, and Rabbi Wentworth Matthew of the Ethiopian Hebrew Congregation of Harlem. Altogether, there presently are more than 24 congregations in New York, some 15 in Philadelphia, and temples and centers in Chicago, Los Angeles, Youngstown, Ohio, and elsewhere. There are also revitalized Israelite communities in the West Indies, Nigeria, East Africa, Israel, and other parts of the world. Besides their usual activities, most Afro-Israelite congregations have a program called Reclamation. Although similar in some respects to conversion, its purpose, unlike the former, is to assist the individual to reclaim for himself or herself his or her original African Hebrew heritage. All right. That's right. You Negroes, you ADOSs, you American descendants of slaves, you are not just African. You are African Hebrew Israelites. Deuteronomy verses 30, 1 through 3. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have said before thee, and thou shalt call to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God has driven thee. All right. So the Lord say this stuff gonna come upon our mind. What all the nations, all right, and all the nations where the Lord our Father, our Elohim, has driven us, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day. And thou children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Let me read that again. All right, he said, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day. Thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thine soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Lord thy God have scattered thee. So y'all want to be redeemed, y'all want to be restored. This is how. The Lord told us that what in these nations we have been driven to, that we shall return to him, we shall obey his voice according to all that he commanded him. All right, all that he commanded us. Us, our children, we need to do it with all our heart, all our soul. All right. And the Lord said he will turn our captivity. He will have compassion on us, and he will gather us from all the nations where the Lord thy God have scattered us. We present this history to restore an identity. But like I said in the beginning of the video, we have to return to God. We have to return to Yah and do as he commanded us. Ain't nothing changed. We was just cut off. We was just blinded. But now we're awakening. And we have to live as Israelites. I thank everybody for tuning in today. Make sure you all like this video. Make sure you all share this video, all right? We have to get this information out to the masses. This awakening is not stopping. It's going to continue to pick up, man. Like I say, like this video and give it a share, and be ready for Israelite History in America, Part 3. Shalom, and Todah for watching.